Hey everyone, I've been meaning to make a video for a while on what I think is arguably the best set for free-to-play and casual players, and that is the Mountebank set. And I saw the video that DM just posted about this. Shout out to him, I love his stuff. Go check out his channel and I'll link his video below. But I think he may have undersold this set and its viability just a little bit. Mainly due to the fact that he got one thing wrong about how the mechanics of the set works, and that's because, yet again, there is a text issue or a translation issue, as we've seen so many times in the game. But at least this time, unlike all those other times, it's actually to our benefit, and what we're getting is better than what we thought we were getting when you just read the text here. If you want to get right to what I'm talking about, skip ahead, use the chapters, and go to the chapter about the 6-piece set mechanics. But first, I just wanted to make sure that all the free-to-play and casual players out there know how to obtain set items, because the bonuses you get from set items are one of the best ways you can make yourself stronger as free-to-play and casual. And now that they're easier to get, it's something you should really focus on. So the old method was to go run dungeons and just hope that a set item drops at the end. And you can still do that. If you do, look in here and there will be certain dungeons that have this symbol here, which means it's a boosted chance to drop set items. But what I think is the best way now is to get them is right here. You can get one set item per day just by running any 3 dungeons. And you can even stack up to 3 days of rewards if you miss a couple days. Like if you see here, it says claimed 0 out of 3. So I can get 3 days worth by running 9 dungeons, and I can get 3 set items today. And then when I came back tomorrow, it will say claimed 0 out of 1, and I'm back to run 3 dungeons and get a set item for the day. And you can run that 3 dungeons every day and just get a set item real quick. And now, the other mechanic that I'm so glad they finally added to the game is set crafting. So you can actually specifically make a piece that you want. Pick the slot that it's going to be first, then click on the set that you want, and you can craft it. It will take some flowing shards, but those are easy to get from salvaging legendary gear. The harder material to get is the Fabled Wisps. And the way you get those is you go to the blacksmith and you salvage set items that you don't need anymore, or you're replaced, or they're from a set you don't care about and the stats aren't a huge upgrade. Whatever the case is, if you don't need that set item anymore, and if you've obtained it since they added this mechanic, then salvaging it will get you a Fabled Wisp. As you can see here, it's a Fabled Wisp 4 because this item is a Hell 4 item. The level of the wisp will always correspond to the level of the item. But if you go to the smithing materials vendor and click Fabled Wisps, you can trade wisps up at a 5-to-1 ratio for the first few levels, and when you get down here, it costs 7. So right here, if I had 5 Fabled Wisp 1s, I could trade it up for 1 Fabled Wisp 2. And if you do have some Fabled Wisps from hell levels that you're already past, don't worry about it. Don't waste your time going back to the hell levels to try to get a few more so you can trade them up. It's just not worth your time. So once you have Fabled Wisps, you come and craft your set item that you want, and while you're still trying to get 2, 4, or 6 or something, that's obviously what you're going to craft. But one thing to consider, you know, when you're in this case where I already have 6 Mountebanks, so now consider certain builds you might have, and you have to give certain ones priority. And for example, I have a new Crusader PvP dash build that I am prioritizing because as a free-to-play, it's pretty hard to do PvP to be at all effective, really. A lot more so than in PvE, which is not really as much of an issue. So I am focusing on strengthening this PvP build. So this build uses 4-piece Mountebanks and 2-piece Gloom Guides. So when I was deciding which set item to craft, because I did just craft one, I looked first at, well, what pieces do I have out of the Gloom Guides, and what are they going to replace? What are they replacing out of the Mountebanks? This one I definitely wouldn't want to use because the stats are so low. I ended up deciding that the boots and this ring here were the best two to go with for the Gloom Guide set. So that meant this and this were going to get replaced. So I looked at the other 4 items and decided that the neck is what I wanted to craft, and I just crafted that. It was on a previous attempt of recording this video, but there was a technical issue and there was a glitch in the video, so I'm redoing it. Because I'm a free-to-play player, but I am also a free-to-play content creator. So help me grind that YouTube resonance and like and subscribe. Anyways, so now we've talked about the different ways you can obtain set items. It's pretty easy now. And to get to the Mountebank set specifically, I think it's very beneficial for many, many different situations, especially as a free-to-play or casual player. And not just PvP, but even in PvE, when you're breaking into a new hell level and it's kind of hard to survive, this will help you survive a lot. So the 2-piece gives you a 20% chance when you take damage to get a damage absorbing shield for 13% of your maximum life. It's not very much. It's a pretty small shield. It's kind of not worth using, but obviously if you don't have anything else, it's not negligible, but it's just not, 13% is not much. If you want the shield, you really try to go for the 4-piece, so now it's a shield worth 33% of your maximum life. And that is, I think, the best part of this set. It'll help you survive a lot more in all situations, which is huge as free-to-play and casual players. Now, the 6-piece set, the thing that I think almost probably everyone got wrong reading this is so your shield has a 25% chance when it expires to explode for 40% of your maximum life in damage to all nearby enemies. First of all, 40% of your maximum life, no matter what your build is, that's pretty much going to be the biggest hit you can do. So that is huge. And that makes this really nice. But what it seems like it's saying here is when it expires. So when the shield runs out of time, but you still have the shield, it hasn't been used up by absorbing damage. And actually that's not the case. What happens is 25% of the time that you get this shield from the Mountebank set, it's going to be a type of shield that will explode whether time runs out or the shield gets used up by absorbing damage. It doesn't matter if time runs out and you still have the shield. Even if it absorbs all the damage right away in one big hit, as soon as the shield gets removed, it's going to explode if you rolled that type of shield on this 25% chance roll here. So you immediately know if it's going to explode as soon as you get it by looking at your buffs and the symbols that it shows when you get your shield from the Mountebank set. So when you see this symbol here with the little 2 in the bottom right corner, that means you got the version of the shield that is not going to explode, and you can see the text says it just absorbs damage. Now when you get this symbol here without the little 2 in the bottom right corner, this is the version of it that is going to explode no matter what. it even says right there, when the shield is removed, it explodes, dealing damage to nearby enemies. So in my current build, testing this out, I have about 93,000 health, which would equate to about 37,000 damage if it was 40% of my max health. But take into account other certain things that are boosting my damage, so it's going to be bigger than that. So if you look here, I got the version that's not going to explode. Watch, it's going to run out and nothing happens. Now here I get the version that does explode, and watch, right there, it got used up by absorbing damage. And it still explodes, even though time didn't run out. Watch my health bar, the shield gets used up, and then explodes. Even though you can see here where I paused right where the shield got all used up, there's still time left on the Mountebanks buff right there. So it's just the 25% chance on if you're going to get the right version of the shield that is going to explode. So this one ended up hitting for 58 or 60,000. Boom. This one hit for about 56,000. Boom. And this one hit for 53k with a crit of 112k. Bam. So, while DM was absolutely right that whales are going to get the most out of the 6-piece Mountebanks because they have high resonance, which means they're going to have much higher health, so that explosion is going to hit for a lot more damage, I do still think there's a viable build you can make as a free-to-play or casual player around the 6-piece Mountebanks, and you would just want to build around that, increase your health as much as possible so that that shield hits for as much as possible. Now, you're going to have less resonance than someone who puts money into the game, but you can still grind it slowly. But more importantly, if you wanted to make that build, I would reset your Paragon points and make sure you get every single health node that increases your life. Just focus on all of those. And there's a bunch of new ones now too with the new Paragon trees that they have. And you can see I'm getting 24,000 life out of my current setup, but there's probably over 10,000 more life I could be getting from my Paragon points. And then if you are also, other things you could do to increase your life if you want to build around it is focus on anything with vitality or with the bonus attribute of increasing your maximum life. And then you can also try to reforge your bonus attributes and try to get the maximum life there. So those are just different ways that you would want to increase your life as much as possible, and the fact that you would have way more life than certain other builds you might make, and the fact that that shield is now going to hit much harder with the increase in your life, I think it could be a viable build for PvP as well as PvE for free-to-play and casual players. And I also just wanted to say that I think the 4-piece alone is hugely beneficial for free-to-play and casual players, again, in both PvE and PvP. But the people who are going to get the most out of it, I think, are the free-to-play and casual players who are trying to do PvP, because as free-to-play and casual, you're much weaker than other people in general, and so you don't survive very long. Survival is the issue, not damage. So this will help you survive longer, and so I definitely recommend the 4-piece Mountebanks as pretty much it's beneficial for any free-to-play or casual player in any type of build. So I just wanted to clarify the mechanics of the 6-piece set. As I explained, there's a 25% chance that when you get that Mountebank shield, it will explode, no matter how the shield gets removed, whether it gets used up from absorbing damage or the time runs out. 25% of the chance, 25% chance on each time you get that shield that it will explode. And, so that might make you reconsider whether you want it or not. Because if you had to still have the shield when time runs out to make it explode, if that was the only way it would explode, then I would say it was definitely not worth it. But it's just a 25% chance every time you get that shield. And the shield itself, you can get every 9 seconds. So you will get a lot of chances on it. But just to, show my data, I tested it and got 20 Mountebank shields, and I only got the exploding version 3 times. So in a small sample size, that was only 15% of the time for me. However, within the first 5 tries, I got all 3 of those exploding versions of the shields. So 60% in an even smaller sample size. And then actually the first 2 in a row were both exploding. There's 100% in that sample size. So, take it as you want. Personally, I think, I think there's definitely a viable build that you can make around it, even as free-to-play and casual players. But I just wanted to make sure all people who, are casual and free-to-play know that the 4-piece is a huge, huge benefit in all scenarios. It's just like easy mode. Like I think Dan said that. It really makes everything so much easier. So, if you like that, if you learned something, if you appreciate it, please leave a like. And if you'd like to see more Diablo Immortal content, mainly catering towards free-to-play and casual, but in doing that, I'm giving tips and guides on how to, get the most out of everything in the game, so it does apply to everyone. If you want to see more, just support me, please subscribe, hit that bell, and I'll see you in the next one.